The parts of the truck that nobody really sees are clean. It's got all the goodies under the hood. But just for a little peace of mind and to piss off the internet, I'm gonna go ahead and change the filter. All the oil leaked out, so it'll be fine. All right, it's time for the second annual Drive Your 23-year-old SUV to the other side of the country while spending thousands of dollars on fuel, hotel, steak, and beer to make priceless memories with your family and friends trip. Let's get this unit ready. If you're not familiar with this excursion, there's a full build series on the Busted Knuckle Films YouTube channel. Lots of good stuff on there. Basic setup, 2000 Ford Excursion, 7.3 Power Stroke diesel. It does have a later SuperDuty radius arm suspension swap, and it does have Carli suspension front and rear, Yukon air lockers front and rear, Yukon 430 gears front and rear. It can make about 500 to the tire, but we normally keep it turned down pretty far. It's got all the goodies under the hood. KC turbo, full force diesel injectors, lead power steering, hydraulic assist steering setup. One of my favorite things on the truck. Mishimoto everything, CNC HPOP, strictly diesel fuel system, cheap batteries because this truck just likes to go through them. And it's got a stage 1 transmission from A1 Transmissions in Georgia because I blew the old one up. Tom Woods Driveshafts front and rear. We got the dual pump setup from Strictly on there, 4-inch MVRP exhaust with muffler, and power steps because they're cool. We got the Buckstop bumpers front and rear. The front bumper is aluminum. That cuts down on weight a little bit. I got the dual swing Buckstop bumper on the back, the spare tire, and the box. Love the box. Trail ready beadlocks all the way around. BFG KM3s. There's a gigantic worn 16.5 TIS in the bumper, and some cool Factor 55 recovery items. Got a Rhino rack up top, and a gigantic CVT Denali tent to house my family, because I'm an ogre, and I got a wife and 2 kids. It's got 2 ladders. Anyway, check out the full build series. There's like 5 or 6 episodes, and they star me, so they're obviously pretty good. So I think first order of business is a good cleaning. We need to get our sick week decals off there, because, well, we obviously didn't race this thing. It's got pollen and stuff all over it. Probably haven't washed it in like 8 months. And I need it to at least be clean when we start the trip. And if you didn't notice, the truck's already up on jack stands because I need to do the full 5-tire rotation on this thing, which would be why the cherry picker's out here, because I've already had 1 back transplant in my life and I don't want another. And while we've got it up off the ground and the wheels and tires off of it, we can grease the drive shaft, grease the suspension and the ball joints on the front. Just make sure all that's good and lubed up. There's some oils and filters we need to change before we go. And I'm doing a little bit of woodworking because the drawer face for my drawer on my rear storage system kind of got a little broken last year, so I'm having to try and redo that. But that's really it. No major repairs, just cleaning and maintenance. So we're doing the 5-tire rotation just like you would do on a Jeep here. Use a cherry picker or 2 buddies you really don't like. Don't try to pick this up yourself. But if you're determined to show how tough you are and take that tire running off by yourself, I know a really good spinal surgeon here in the Atlanta area, so just hit me up. Spinal fusion leaves a really cool scar between your navel and your, you know what I'm saying. It's like a C-section, but it's vertical, so it's like a B-section, you know, because your back, B-section. Well, we got her set on levitate. This gives you a better idea of what's going on behind those big wheels and tires. Got some pretty awesome SSBC-USA brakes with the Carli radius arms. You can see the hydraulic assist. It's attached to the diff cover. If you're going to do that, you're going to have to tighten those bolts periodically. We had them come loose last year in Colorado and all the oil leaked out. So that's part of my race prep. Tighten front diff cover bolt. In the back, we've got Deaver, Carli leaf springs, long travel airbags, and SSBC-US brakes as well. And there's the exhaust. I had to do a little clearance in right here because the spring liked to hit it, but there's not a whole lot of space to work with in here. Same deal over here. It's identical on both sides, as it should be. Well, the parts of the truck that nobody really sees are clean, and they will be completely dirty again as soon as we hit the first trail in Colorado. In fact, they'll probably be dirty before we get to Colorado because we'll probably run into a rainstorm and just negate everything I did. But it's clean, so I can get under there and service everything. Well, I'm gonna wait till the concrete dries before I get under there. That'll give me time to clean out my wheels and tires and get them ready for the rotation. is the rotation. About halfway through cleaning these wheels and tires, and I question why I'm doing this. I normally change my oil at 7,500 miles. The oil in the truck and the filter have 3,000 miles on them. I got a 5,000 mile trip coming up, so realistically, it'll be fine. But just for a little peace of mind and to piss off the internet, I'm gonna go ahead and change the filter and about a third of the oil, because you know, I've used a third of the life of the oil, so if we just change a third of the oil, it's basically brand new. And I'm gonna go ahead and put 1540 conventional in it. It's got 540 synthetic in it, and according to the internet, you can't mix viscosities, and you can't mix brands, and you can't mix conventional and synthetic. Well, we're about to find out, because I'm gonna do all three in this truck. Premium Blue Synthetic 540, that's what's currently in the truck. I think. It could be Mobile Delvac 1 540. I don't know. It's a synthetic 5W40. And we're gonna change the oil and top it off with a conventional 15W40, and it's not gonna blow up. It's all gonna be perfectly fine. I'll even send the oil off to a lab after the trip just to prove it. So let's go ahead and get all this changed out. Then we can work on greasing the suspension and the shafts, put the tires back on, and have a whole truck again. Filling the old FL 1995A with half a gallon of conventional 15W40. It'll be fine. Got the fresh FL 1995 on there, and we're going to drain some oil out of there. I don't really know how to gauge how much oil I'm going to drain. I'm just going to open it and then start drinking beer and then close it when I think it's enough. Oh, there it is. The motor valve's open, and I've got slightly used synthetic 5W40 dumping into the drain pan, and we're going to replace that with some brand new conventional 15W40 for science. So to change a third of the oil, I need to change 5 quarts. It's a 15 quart sump, and looking at the dipstick, I think I got it right. Right where it should be. Looks like it's about 6 1/4 quarts of conventional, 9 quarts of synthetic, used synthetic. All right, got a fresh water separator and fuel filter. In case you're wondering what fuels this beast, this is from Strictly Diesel or Driven Diesel. This is a dual Bosch pump setup, so I've got twin factory Bosch fuel pumps, and I've got it set up to run off either pump or both pumps at one time. I normally run it on one pump, and I flip-flop back and forth between the pumps at every fuel up, but if I have the truck turned up to the highest tuning, it takes both pumps to supply enough fuel. I grizzed the rear driveline. I took the rear end loose to get to that U-joint, and I couldn't get to this one up here, so I ended up having to take the front one loose as well. That is what it is. I'll do it all over again in a couple years. I didn't do much with the front driveline. I greased the slip joint here, but I didn't really mess with the U-joints or the CV. The rear drive shaft has like 10,000 miles of use. The front drive shaft has like 20 miles of use. I'm not overly concerned with it. So I got the front end greased, got the sway bar links, I got the drag link greased, I got the tie rod greased. Everything's happy. The ball joints, on the other hand, there used to be a Zerk fitting here. I broke it off, and now it's got a broken off screw extractor in it as well. So the way I figure it is, I did grease this one because it's there. That one's not. When they wear out in 10 years, I'll just replace the ball joints. It's not that difficult. All right, it's time to rotate on these tires. And this is how they came off the truck. According to which Google article you look at, it might tell you something different. But here's my rotation. Spare goes to the front right. Front right goes to the right rear. Right rear goes to the left front. Left front comes to the left rear. Left rear goes to the spare. And I do the rotation myself, and then I take it to the tire store and have them balance it, because I don't trust them to do it right or to mess with my bumper. So another tip, in addition to using the cherry picker to get this thing on here, if you've got this style of tire carrier where it's basically a receiver style hitch deal, and you mount that to the wheel and you pick it up and slide it in, you want to make sure you get it tight to your support bars. Just let all the pressures out of it, then push it up snug, tighten that down, and then reinflate the tire. All right, About to wrap up, getting the excursion ready for our trip. And I must say, this is the absolute worst part of owning an excursion. The washing part. You need a ladder and a long brush and stamina. And I've got 2 out of 3 of those. It's early, the sun hasn't peeked over the trees yet, and I'm gonna see if I can't knock this out in the next couple hours. Finally, trip prep is complete. I got it shined up, oiled up, greased up, aired up, stickered up. Really nothing else for me to do except pack a bag, pack a cooler, and hit the road. Stay tuned.